Welcome to the Millionaire Mindcast, where we broadcast weekly interviews with millionaire minds from across the globe to empower you on your journey of unlocking a rich and fulfilling life. It's time to unleash your millionaire within. Now, here's your host, Maddie A.
What's up? What's up? What up? Welcome into the Millionaire Mindcast, the show that focuses on all things mindset, money, and motivation to help you, our amazing listeners, increase your income, impact, and influence. I'm your host, Maddie A. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in, checking out the podcast, making me a part of your day. And whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an employee, whether you're retired, whether you're just someone who wants more out of life, you're in the right space. We cover all kinds of inspirational and educational topics that are important for building a healthy, wealthy, epic life. Now, if you're a longtime listener, a returning listener, a new listener, whatever you may be, wherever you fall, thank you for tuning in today. And I got a good show for you guys with one of my absolute best friends. He's become a mentor, Mr. Ryan Hughes. We've traveled the world together. We meet for breakfast every week and talk life, business, and overall just how to make a bigger impact. And he's got an insanely inspiring story, which he's gonna be sharing a little bit about today. Literally going from building a multi-million-dollar law firm at the age of 20 to abandoning that, going on a self-discovery journey, and now working on his project, his new business that's making a dent in the world, helping people get healthy, which is something that all entrepreneurs struggle with, right? So we got some good content in store for you today. But hey, before we dive in, as always, I want to share a few quick reminders of all the awesome things that we have going on in the Millionaire Mindcast community. And if you're not already a part of our free Facebook community, don't forget to join me in the Millionaire in the Making Facebook group, where we have all kinds of people from all industries, all walks of life at different stages in their wealth building journey from really all over the world, who are striving for more and marching towards that millionaire status and beyond. Also, don't forget to download the free resource that we have for the community each and every month, the 5-step guide on how to find your first and or your next mentor. And I'm always getting asked about mentorship and the best ways to find a great mentor. So I decided to create this simple guide for anyone who's looking for a strategic plan on how to find and land the right mentor to accelerate your results, increase your network, your expansion, right, in whatever area it is that you're looking to level up in. So if you want this free resource, all you have to do is text the word mentors to 44222, and it will automatically deliver to your email inbox. Real simple. It's mentors to 44222, and you'll have this 5-step guide sent over right away, okay? So now that we got that out of the way, like I said, today's Millionaire Worth Modeling is my buddy Ryan Hughes, and in today's episode, we have a really fun conversation. It's always nice when you get to talk with your friends because it's a little more natural. We get to dive into some things, and we talk about entrepreneurship, mindset, health, his space, and we really cover the gamut in this interview. But Ryan even actually cried in this interview, which you'll see why. I think he's actually the first guest that's ever cried on the show, but this is why I love this guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he truly is a game-changing human being that has improved my life. He improves everybody around him, and you're gonna see why after you watch this show. So super pumped that you get to spend a little time with him today. And in our chat, we cover his journey from being a money-driven millennial and looking for significance through money to now, being more heart-centered and self-love aligned and making a massive impact through his new space. And we talk for, a lot of hard-charging entrepreneurs, health is something that many of us struggle with, right? We sacrifice something and oftentimes it becomes our health. So we talk about that, life balance, how to handle the haters, because he's swimming upstream in this space, bringing in and introducing some new topics, some new strategies that, challenge what has been in mainstream health for a very long time. So I really think you guys are gonna like some of the tips and the advice and just the education that he provides so you can transform your health or reset your health if that's something that is of interest to you, so you can perform at the highest possible levels to have the greatest impact in your space. So overall, inspiring stuff. Definitely some great actionable advice in there as well. And you can pick and choose what you want to apply in your own journey. So let's not waste any more time and dive into today's show with my buddy Ryan Hughes right after this quick message. Have you ever wanted to tap into the minds of other successful millionaires and see exactly what things they are learning and implementing in their lives and businesses? Well, now you can by subscribing to Millionaire Notes, the exclusive monthly newsletter that delivers all the books, resources, insights, and strategies that the brightest millionaires from around the world are leveraging to build wealthier lives. Each and every month, the Millionaire Mindcast team and I compile the best tips, tools, and wisdom shared by my guests of the show from all the mastermind groups I'm a part of, from the countless conferences I pay thousands of dollars to attend, and most importantly, the journals my millionaire mentors have given me access to. I've always been a big believer that success leaves clues, and by learning from other brilliant minds, we are able to model our way to a more rich and fulfilling life. And being that time is a limited and precious resource for all of us, we figured here at the Millionaire Mindcast team, we would do all the legwork for you, mine through all the data, and deliver you the most valuable golden nuggets that you can use and implement in your life each and every month. You don't have to do all the research. You don't have to pay hundreds or even thousands of dollars to attend the conferences and the events to gain access to this elite information for literally the price of a morning latte for just $5 a month. You can have all these delivered to your inbox. If you have any desire to increase your income, your impact, or your influence, then Millionaire Notes is for you. To receive your monthly edition, text Millionaire Notes, all one word, to 44222. There's no contracts. You can cancel at any time you like. To sign up today, all you have to do is text Millionaire Notes, all one word, to 44222. Let's dive back into the show. So what's going on, man? How are you doing? What's going on with life? What are you up to?
Life has exploded, absolutely exploded. There's so much going on. I mean, I think we've been friends for a while now. If you asked me that question 6 months ago, you would have a completely different answer.
I don't want to say it's night and day, because we're going to obviously talk a lot about everything that's gone on leading up to this point, but it's pretty much night and day.
Yeah, it is.
You've got a lot of stuff going on right now.
Well, in July, I got married. I bought a house for my wife and I. I went on my honeymoon. I bought my dream house, lakefront Tahoe cabin.
Which we had a lot of fun at, by the way.
We had a lot of fun. We'll talk about that. And I launched my dream company. So 5 explosive things in 1 month. And I got through it. I did end up in the hospital, but
we'll talk a little bit more about that too. You know, and I think being that this is a show all about entrepreneurship, it's a show about wealth building, right? And to everybody, wealth is a different definition. So we're obviously going to get your take on what that looks like. But for those that don't know who Ryan is and, you know, what you've been up to leading up to this point, I want to give people a little bit of a backdrop and bring us up to speed on where you're at today, because you have some insanely exciting things going on, some stuff that's going viral right now. You're taking over Sacramento with the space that you're in, and now it's expanding nationwide. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like, but I want to give people an idea because there's so many lessons in the journey, right? And I think oftentimes we're always shooting for that next thing that we forget about the ground that we've covered and how that has made us and led us to where we're at today. So for those that don't know who you are, what your space is, what you do, rewind a little bit for us and tell us, who is Ryan Hughes?
Totally. So I think it starts, and fitting for this show, entrepreneurship was ingrained to me as a child. Yeah. My father, my grandfather, it was like inherited. And to me, it meant a lot because that's what you do. Like, that's how you become successful. That's how your family acknowledges you as ultimately a success. So I took that and ran with it really early on. About 18 years old, I started a law firm with my brother. It was nonstop grind. We made a lot of money really fast, which gets addicting, right? Those 12-hour days, six-day weeks. And after about 8 years of that, I was completely fried and realized that my 20s had dissipated and flown before my own eyes. So it all led me to going on a personal journey, trying to figure out, okay, I figured out how to make a ton of money. Right. And now I got to figure out who the heck I am, which is, I think a lot of us transition into around our 20s and 30s. And that hit me pretty hard and led me to a trip to Mexico for 6 months, which was really kind of like the hero's journey. I was looking out to find myself, and I literally had to leave my home and go to Mexico thinking that seeking, like that's where I find myself away, whatever that was.
Right.
And ultimately, as the hero journeys talk about, it brought me right back to where I was supposed to be, which was home. And ultimately, it was more of a mission to find out what I was most passionate about, and it wasn't making money.
It's interesting how oftentimes our intention early on in life, and really at any point, depending on where you're at, is to make as much money as we can, right? I knew that's what fired me up in the beginning, and then I started accumulating some wealth along the way, and I was like, yeah, that's not really bringing me a whole lot of happiness. And right, it gives me more options and freedom, and it's a tool or an exchange that I can use to, I guess, go out and achieve and get what I want.
Yeah.
But you experienced that. It took you out to Mexico, and so you went on this personal journey and kind of started peeling back the layer of the onion. And I'm just curious, what did you learn about yourself in Mexico that brought you back to the U.S. and kind of on this new path that you were on?
Yeah. So there's so many lessons that I learned. I was reading a book a week. Like I was obsessed with learning, diving in, journaling, all those things that you promote as well, right? And you've done. The number one thing, because I could break it down to one, it's like a funnel that breaks down to this one thing. The number one thing that I learned is all those things that I was doing, right, to become more muscular, to earn more money, to become, better known in the community as someone who was successful, all boiled down to one thing. And I ultimately wanted to be accepted. And I wanted to be accepted in a way that I felt significant. And I never knew that as I was along that journey of entrepreneurship and trying to like crush it.
Yeah.
I thought it was about the money, but really I just wanted people to love me.
Yeah.
And so that was the first big peel of the onion. But then I said, you know what, I have to go deeper on this. I feel like there's more. And ultimately, when the whole lid blew off my head and I completely transformed as a person and the way I looked at myself, is it wasn't that I wanted people to love me, it's I was seeking to love myself.
Wow.
And it's sometimes when I say self-love, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cliche, but that's really what it was. Deep down to its core, I allowed myself to love myself, which was an empowerment that I didn't really care what other people thought anymore. And allowed me to be myself and grow into myself because I loved myself.
Wow. And I think that some people never figure that out in their entire lifetime, right? Some people, society really has trained us to just be really good at sweeping stuff under the rug and putting on, the iron shield and continuing to just power through. And yet we don't really get to uncover what at the core it is that we really want.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why I love having these conversations with people like you. And if you guys don't know Ryan, this guy has taught me to tap into my heart, get out of my head and get into my heart in so many different ways. I've never shared so many emotional exchanges with another male where I actually have tears involved. And if you know this guy, he pulls that out of you. And so when you really tapped into this space, and from what I'm hearing, you shifted from significance, which at the time you thought would be brought through money and success, and you started shifting to more service for yourself, and now what you're up to of serving others. You moved back and you got into what space? Where were you at?
So what's interesting is one of the things that drove me to come back, right? I realized that home was where I needed to be, but quickly I have a few businesses, so my businesses were waiting for me. And what was interesting is it's easy to get pulled back in, right? Like there is no, I found the light, I found self-love, I found it. And I thought I did, trust me. I was like, oh, I'm enlightened. And I came home and within a couple months, I was sucked right back into that life of dealing with my law firm, dealing with my real estate company, and then also my insurance company, which is a newer venture.
Right.
And quickly that enlightenment became normalcy. And so I had to relearn what was important in the lessons that I had the hard way because I was up and then right back down, which I think was a good lesson in its own, is it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to be on that high, and don't think it, otherwise you're going to be disappointed. It's a constant battle. Luckily, as a transitioning out of that, I had that muscle to realize, hey, this is not what it's about. I started to make decisions more for my life in balance, finding the right wife, finding the right friendships, the right community, and ultimately what's led me to find the right business, which for me has become my greatest like recent passion, because for a long time I've heard some of my mentors say there's true beauty in when the line between work and play is blurred to the extent that you don't know what's the difference. And I feel like for the first time I have that. So before this business, I had everything set up. I really did work really hard, right? I had my businesses were easy. They were paying me on ease. I had the perfect wife. I started building an amazing community with GoBundance and you and some other people. And the one thing that was missing was I didn't feel like I was really living for a purpose and a passion of serving others. I was served. Like my life was amazing.
Right.
But there was this hole. Like there was the true emptiness, and this business has definitely filled that hole. I went seeking to fill it, and I did.
So before we dive into talking about what filled that hole,
yeah,
and how you are, me and this guy, we meet for breakfast a couple times a month, and we talk. We don't want to talk bullshit, right? We want to talk about life-changing, life-altering, world-bending conversations, and that's why I love hanging out with you, is because you always raise that bar, and you have talked about wanting to make a dent in the world with what you're doing, and you're doing that right now. But how, and this is a conversation for a lot of people, is how much do you believe ego and influence of your environment and the people you were around played into I don't want to say the old Ryan, but the Ryan that led you to now this enlightened new individual?
Yeah. What's amazing is for years, like my dad passed away when I was 15. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, I thought it didn't affect me, right? Because I'm strong. So I moved forward. I said, I can't let this hold me back. My dad is gone. I loved him, but I got to move past it. And I've done that with any kind of hardship in my life. But where it did affect me, and I didn't realize, is it hardened me up big time, in that I kind of disengaged from my emotions, because if I did engage, it would have hurt.
Right.
So for years, I didn't cry. I didn't connect with anyone, my best friends, even my parents, on a level that I really had in my heart. You say I'm this guy that's really heart forward. Well, I wasn't. I wasn't that guy for years. So what was amazing is when I tipped the scale and found self-love, it kind of re-engages your heart. It's absolutely incredible. So I was totally in the ego space. It wasn't about connecting with my heart. It was about connecting with everyone else, trying to make them love me. Right? And which is this ego that's driving you for more significance, their eyes on you. So then when my heart exploded, it was more about how I felt about me, which blew up my heart and emotions. And that's why I cry all the time. That's why I'm emotional all the time. That's why I went back, and you cry all the time too.
Don't put me on blast like that.
Just because it's like I've allowed myself to open my heart and kind of move the ego away, which we all, I think, have this burning heart. Like you, since I've known you, I've just watched your heart grow and grow and grow, and you get teary-eyed all the time now, because I think that's your ego kind of shedding off of you.
Right.
So it's been a huge change for me.
Yeah, I think about, I read a book a handful of years ago when I felt like I had to wear this certain cloak and this armor and act a certain way and think a certain way and do things a certain way in order to be accepted a certain way or get somewhere that I thought that's what I had to do.
Yeah.
And I read Brene Brown's book, The Gift of Imperfections.
Yeah.
And I think we can share a similar experience. And when we accepted ourselves for who we were instead of who we thought we needed to be, I realized that if I'm just Matt, and I am the true Matt, the person that I love and want to be and show up every day, one, it's a whole hell of a lot easier to be yourself every day than try to be somebody else. There's a lot less pressure there. But at the same time, I realized that if I'm my organic true self, my relationships are going to be organic, my experiences are going to be organic, the opportunities, I mean, everything in my life was going to be a reflection of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you have this amazing, network of people around you because of who you are. And now you have this massive business that is exploding. So how has what
you learned about yourself now transitioned into the individual you are leading to be in your business and to make impact in all of these lives that you're now touching.
Totally. So when I was in the ego space, I would watch, this is just a funny story, I watched the show called The Biggest Loser with my parents. And this is when I was in like kind of in high school, so 15 to 19, let's call it. And when I'd watch the show, and this is the guy that didn't cry anymore, I would get teary-eyed. And I would hold it back, man. I would like not let that come out because that's not who I was anymore. Those emotions were put in there. But it's like, that kept happening, that show mainly, and little things like that. Every time that I would watch someone's life transform, it was this, I felt this deep emotion, and especially in the space of health and even mental health, because I think sometimes we get sick, right? Even the ego in itself can make us feel sick, you know? Yeah. And so anytime I saw those transformations, I was like addicted to it. And so when I went to Mexico, I started coaching people for free, right? I already was a millionaire, I had plenty of money, and I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna become a free coach and change people's lives. And so one at a time, I started transforming people's lives really quickly. I realized I went too hard too soon. I was kind of putting them on a wave of like excitement and my energy, and I wasn't like fixing them forever. Right. I didn't know exactly what I was doing.
But you were making some kind of change.
I was making some change, some quick change. And so it's interesting, I always had that just resonating in me. Like, you are almost a voice saying you're meant to transform people. And I think we all are. I think really we all have amazing gifts that are meant to be service to others. And it's amazing because I've been fortunate enough to become a millionaire. And now that burning little voice, that little itch, that passion that kept making me teary-eyed is now my everyday. And that's what this company is to me. I broke it down. How can I transform as many lives as possible in the way that feels unbelievable to them, but also feels amazing for me, because that's going to keep me motivated to do it. Right. And so I stumbled upon an amazing doctor in seeking for that, incredible doctor that was doing extraordinary work. He's brilliant, he's giving, but he's not a big scale businessman. He's got this beautiful office, he was transforming lives, reversing diabetes, obesity, and all these chronic diseases, but the world didn't even really know about it yet. And I knew, like, right away, our first meeting, I said, this is it. I am not,
that's why I love this guy.
I just feel very fortunate. It's weird because you have these moments in life. It's like, what direction would you be in if you didn't have that moment, right? So when I think about that moment, sitting across the table from Dr. Bond and his wife, Van, with my wife, Michelle, and like in that moment, I knew it's like, this is it. And I'd only been sitting with him for like 30 minutes. And I knew, like, this is it. And this is just like 6 months ago. And now we have what is Reset Health. And we've created this beautiful, transformational company that is spreading like wildfire simply because it's transforming lives so fast. And it transforms them through their weight, so physically, but their connection with food, their relationship with themselves. They find self-love in this. And so it's like this amazing two metaphors that have changed my life. One was the drive, the itch to say, I'm meant to transform people. And then it was me finding self-love. And now I'm transforming people and helping them find self-love. It's like this incredible gift, and I don't know what powers are at B for it, and I hate to go woo-woo on it at all, because I don't even know where my beliefs are exactly in that, but something is here way beyond what I've put by design.
Do you feel like it's tied into the law of attraction, where you've thrown this out there? Have you been prepping for this the entire time? Because I know there's a lot of people who, we all have desire within us, right? Sometimes we're not clear on what desire outcome we want, but we strive for more. It's just the way we're wired. So was this something that you had always envisioned going into, or was this just now the vehicle that you felt was the most impactful to do that in?
It is, I've always felt certain things, like coaching people emotionally or transforming their health. I did that many times voluntarily. Like my employees, I'd always try to transform them physically, right? And I used to think there was...
You transformed me over coffee and bacon, so I mean, hey.
That's awesome. I love it. So it's a lot of different things coming in alignment. And I think to answer your question there, a law of attraction, like if you watch The Secret and all that stuff, that is a little woo-woo for me. But even if it's real, I think really it's just continuing to move forward. And there's always hurdles, an incredible amount of hurdles. My wife sometimes says, oh my God, we have this stressful thing going on with like a real estate deal or an employee or something. Like, how are you not like fixated on this thing? Because for me, it's not even happening. Like, if it's out of my control, I release it, right? Like, I'm suing someone for a bunch of money, and I'm being sued, right? Countersued, and all this junk. Some people really doing the wrong things, and I don't even think about it. It's not even in my existence because the attorney has it and it's out of my control. Because if I let that become who I am and become what I am in the present day, it's going to derail me from moving forward.
Right.
So I think when people find that like trajectory of like, I'm just going to move forward regardless of what comes into my path, that's when magic or not magic, whatever the heck it is in the law of attraction, it just starts happening because you're knocking down so many freaking doors.
Right.
Eventually the right doors start opening up, and it's literally a slippery slope in the best of ways.
So none of this has happened on accident, right? And I've heard so many different people say, you know, more than half the battle is just showing up, right? Just showing up. Life rewards people who show up every day.
Yeah.
And one of my goals every day is to be 1% better every day and to just see those results compound and compound and compound. What would you say has been one of your superpowers or one of the most important disciplines or habits that you felt has allowed you to continue to just keep taking that next step forward?
Major superpower, I think, honestly, is being able to, like, so the way that you say I transformed you over bacon, right? I feel like I can see into people, and I think the only real reason why I can see into people is because, again, like, I'm that way with myself.
Yeah.
Like, I am so freaking honest about myself. Like, if I have a flaw or if I make the wrong move, I just, it's out there, right? So what it allows me to do is I can tweak, like, hyper fast. Really, some issue that I brought into my own life, I'll freaking admit it and then remove it. And so I'm constantly progressing because I'm not in denial about who I really am. Mm-hmm. I know that I'm not perfect, right? But I know that I also can work on my imperfections. And because I'm honest with my imperfections, I can improve them. And it's also given me this ability to almost see into other people, because I feel like my own transparency with who I am, I'm able to see people transparently. Mm. So when I see that they're maybe not being honest with who they are, sometimes I can pull that out of them in the same way that I've constantly trying to pull it out of myself.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not saying that you did that for me, but no, there was, we had some very profound conversations with things that allowed me to be way more honest with myself. And I think that's something that a lot of us struggle with is allowing ourselves to just be vulnerable and say, you're not good at this, or this is a weak point in your life. But the moment we can accept that and check the ego at the door and be like, he's right, or she's right, or whatever it may be, that's when the transformation, that's when the power shifts. And you know, I've seen you do that with so many people, and so we've been kind of teasing on this subject a little bit. What the heck is reset?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what reset is in the context of what you just said, because one thing that is happening every single day, because what Reset Health does, it's a transformational health company. So we focus on weight loss because ultimately having extra body weight, what you have on the outside is also on the inside. So a lot of our chronic disease is rooted in that we're overweight. We're 68% overweight in the US. We're 38% of those are obese. We literally have a pandemic right now, and it's spreading globally, but the US is the fattest country in the entire world. So as an entrepreneur, right, and also a transformational seeker, right, I'm thinking, okay, solve the biggest problem, help millions of people, if not billions of people. That's the space I want to be in. That's going to be the most rewarding. And this is the biggest problem that we have in the US right now, with our GDP and also our health. So I'm targeting that, right?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. But what's interesting is what we're seeing in the transformations that we're creating every single day is people oftentimes are in denial with their own relationship with food. And the reason why that is because a lot of people that have bad relationships with food, it's rooted somewhere deep into almost like usually in their upbringing. Right? They eat food in a way that's destructive to themselves because they were abused when they were young, or because their parents used food as a numbing mechanism or something that was rooted way back. And what's amazing is because we get results so fast, people go through a transformational mental experience because they're seeing the weight shed off of them. What also happens is mentally they shed off some of the limiting beliefs and barriers that they've been in denial about that have been holding them back with their health. So it's crazy. I mean, people after like a month will come to us and say, oh my God, I never admitted that I had a bad relationship with food. I was in denial, but I did. And not only do I now am able to admit that I had a bad relationship with food, I can literally think back to when it started, and it was when I was told that I wasn't good enough because I was overweight as a child, or I didn't deserve something. And at that moment, food became a numbing mechanism or a destructive mechanism, and it stuck with them forever.
Wow. It's crazy because I often think about, right, this is all programming, subconsciously, consciously, whatever, wherever it lies. And in order to, our programming, whether it's something rooted in your childhood or, what a boss said to you or whatever it may be, that may have been subconsciously filed away in your subconscious, filing cabinet. And every time something like that comes up, whether it's food, whether it's a relationship, whether it's whatever, it gets unfiled out of the filing cabinet, and your programming leads you to think a certain way and feel a certain way, and based on your feelings you act a certain way, and then based on your actions you get a same result, and it reaffirms your programming based on the result. And so people have laid track upon track upon track upon track, and whether, like I said, it's health, business, relationships, whatever it may be, it's something that people don't understand that they can actually pinpoint.
Yeah.
And lay a new track, right?
Totally.
Which is what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing that? Tell us what the program and what the transformation looks like.
Totally. So here's just a sad piece of why this whole thing's so messed up. Is yes, some people do have a bad relationship with food, and we are helping them kind of shed that and empower them to move beyond it. But here's a real messed up thing. A lot of people that we help that are very much so overweight and in bad health actually don't have a big problem with their relationship with food, about 50%. And here's the issue. A lot of what we have learned around food and diet and nutrition was literally researched and determined in the 1960s. It is bad science, it's way outdated. It's been like ingrained in our society by government and honestly corporations that benefit from the sale of these goods. And it has made us sick. And so we have a lot of people, and this is the thing, a lot of people say, fat people don't have willpower. That's bullshit a lot of the time, actually. It's bullshit. And the reason why it's bullshit is on a hormonal basis. Once you essentially become overweight, it is really difficult to lose the weight. Your body creates a new set point, right? And unfortunately, not only do you have this new set point you're fighting against, you also have been told all these lies about what to eat and eating lean and exercising to lose weight. Bullshit, right? I know it sounds crazy, but they're bullshit.
Right.
And so you're told all these lies and you're stuck on these lies. And what women especially, women have it way harder than us because of estrogen and progesterone and how that fluctuates within the body on their cycle and all these scientific things that we teach people.
Right.
But they are held back from losing weight so much, especially after having kids, that the odds are so against them. And so what we do in the program is we teach them how to take back control of their hormones through nutrition. Not through crazy workouts and all that stuff, because actually people gain weight when they work out because of the way it affects their hormones. We are completely been brainwashed on how working out actually burns fat and how food works, all this stuff. I know I keep saying it, but I got to harp it.
I mean, it's interesting, and it's something that I think needs to be talked about, right? Because in order to break the cycle, I mean, I'm a closet fat kid. I love food, right? I work out just so I can eat what I want to eat, and yet you've got me thinking in so many different ways. I've been on a vegan diet for the last 2 months, and I feel way more energy. I sleep way better.
Nice.
I feel clear, in my thinking, and there's a lot of other benefits. So what would you say is the biggest struggle or challenge that people need to be aware of in maybe their thinking and or physically?
Yeah.
How can they audit that?
Totally.
And then what's maybe 1 or 2 steps that they can take into moving in the right direction?
Yeah, and we aren't a vegan diet. I was vegan for a little while, but we aren't a vegan diet, just to clarify that. You can do vegan really healthily, and we guide people to do that too. But the nutrition methodology that we give, it's not necessarily a diet, is not vegan based. I would say the issue that we have, some big lies, right, is we eat too often. And that sounds simple, but we've been told that our metabolism benefits by eating all the time. Totally wrong. And hormonally, it has a lot of negative effects to you. We also have been sold this low-fat diet, this whole calorie diet, which is interesting. Calories are not the thing that makes you fat. Our body does not burn calories in the way that we think it does. For example, if you have 300 calories of an avocado or 300 calories of a soda, yes, that's an extreme example. The soda is literally going to be stored as fat, and the avocado is not. So unfortunately, like, all these lies have compounded into 68% overweight. And so let me just say real quick about the program because it's so amazing.
Yes, let's
So
hear
right
it.
now we do it in 90 days, which seems like a long time, and every week it's education. The doctor is feeding your brain with all the things to rewire it. And when it gets rewired and you figure out when to eat, how to eat, what not to eat, what to eat, what exercise really does, all these things, you are empowered to have full control over your weight, but also your health. Like, the transformations are epic. People have lost 100 pounds and they keep it off. No one's gained the weight back. No one, because they know too much. And knowledge, my friend, is power once it's implied.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I don't even think that was your question, but I just
Hey,
I get so excited.
It was good. Now you got me like thinking in so many different directions. So for people that are, struggling with, and well, let me start here. Is this for people that are just overweight?
No. So metabolic disease, metabolic syndrome, essentially is affecting people that are also thin. Like, you and me, we did a fat test together a while back, right? And
I beat you, by the way.
You did beat me by like point something crazy.
Hey, that's still a win.
You did win.
Still a win in my book.
You did win. But so when I came to the doctor, I said, put me through the program. And after, I was like in good shape and pretty muscular. I mean, right now I'm like pretty lean and mean, 6-pack madness. But I didn't have that. I just looked good enough, right? Fit guy. And in 50 days in the program, I lost 25 pounds. I got completely leaned out, like ridiculous. I didn't lose any muscle in that experience. It was all fat. So I went from 200 to 175 pounds. Not only that, the doctor did blood tests. We do blood work with some of our patients depending on their situation. I did blood work and I was at risk of cardiac disease. I had really high triglycerides, low HDL, which is not good. It's a warning sign. And within 50 days, I was able to clear it up completely. Wow. So I looked like, people have always my whole life came to me for nutrition advice and exercise advice. I was the fit guy, right? Just like you always have been. And I was in bad shape and bad condition. So no, I mean, overweight people tend to have more of those issues because we can see that there's something wrong. And sometimes we don't know for sure if someone who's skinny, but the whole term skinny fat is real. You can have fat on the inside and have a lot of the effects of fat on the inside, but not be fat on the outside. So skinny people are not off the hook.
So what do you recommend for someone that might be saying, hey, I want to know more about this? Like, what would be my next steps for maybe auditing where I'm at? Do you go get a blood test? Do they, go to a specific website, check out a certain resource? What would you recommend?
What's really unfortunate is most doctors will not give you a full blood test panel to the extent that you even need it. And they won't even review it.
And what would that look like if in a best case scenario, what would be a full on recommended panel according to you guys?
Yeah, so you have about 25 different tests to go through all of your hormones, triglycerides, like it's so in depth, and that's why doctors necessarily don't do it unless you're sick.
Right.
That's the problem. We don't get really good care until we're already too far gone. Which is unfortunate. There are some holistic people out there that try to do other things and that. Can I be honest? My real recommendation is don't be obsessed with the blood test. Get the education to where you know what to implement in your life, strategies, and how to truly take control of your health to where you don't even care what the blood says because you know you're doing the right things and you're going to be healthy. Getting obsessed with the blood tests, I mean, yes, go get the blood test and see what your doctor can do. But my recommendation would be go to resethealth.org and join the program. I mean, we strategically made this program affordable because we want to spread it to as many people as possible.
I love it. You and I were having this conversation over breakfast one time, and we were talking about, you know, for our products and our business and stuff like that, what, you know, where's the price point? And we kind of landed on the Sam Walton model, right? Is get it as cheap as possible, because at the end of the day, it's truly not about making all the money that we can make, you know, from other individuals. It's how can we make the greatest impact?
Totally.
And the money just will continue to follow, right? So the idea behind, you know, jumping into the program, does somebody have to be in your location to be able to do this? Can they do this nationwide? Can they do this around the world? What's the vision for where you guys are going to take this?
So right now we're doing a special program, which is Reset Sacramento, which we're trying to really change our community first. Just because we love Sacramento. We're building an incredible health-based community here that's never really existed. Like, we're changing things. So that's wonderful. But people, even in Reset Sacramento, all of our programs are online. So people, even though it's Reset Sacramento, most of the people are here. We have people joining that program from all over the nation. We have this round, we have 3 people from Germany. It's incredible. But ultimately, in February, we're going to be launching nationwide and allowing more people all around the world to be part of this program. And ultimately, this business, Reset Health, is not making any profit, right? So ever. All the profits that we make from this company go right back into health. So what we do is we sponsor people. So for this program, for example, we kind of know our margin of profit. We're sponsoring 6 vets and their wives to go through the program for free. We're doing a lot of giveaways. We have freereset.org. Which is probably our most important website, because for some people, a lot of people that need help can't afford it at all. There's no room in their budget. So we have freereset.org, which is essentially a sponsorship program. I put money into the company, and some others, Dr. Bond puts money into the company to sponsor those people to go through the company for free. So it really is enterprise philanthropy, like Newman's Own. We have money. Dr. Bond's a very wealthy doctor. I'm an entrepreneur. I got more money than I need. We've made millions, and now it's about changing millions of lives.
You know, this concept of social entrepreneurism, right, is becoming, I think, especially with us millennials, a little bit more of a hot topic, because it's like, it's great to make as much money as you possibly can make, but at the end of the day, you know, my hearse ain't going to be carrying a U-Haul behind it, hauling all my stuff, right? Or I can't, you know, get a storage unit 6 feet under the ground. So we want to make an impact and really leave something beyond, you know, leave something behind when we leave. So what do you envision your legacy being when all is said and done?
All I am is a catalyst. Like, I don't see myself being the guy that transformed human health, right? That's our company's mission, is to transform human health on a global level. I see myself...
Damn it.
Again. Oh,
I love you, man.
It's just, it is. I'm so grateful for even being able to sit here and say it.
Yeah.
You know? I see myself as a catalyst to empower other people to transform so many lives.
Yeah.
Like Heather, one of my good friends, has gone through an incredible transformation.
Amazing transformation.
And she's inspired at least 100 women to follow.
Within a week, days, an hour.
A week.
Yeah.
And she is going to empower, I think, literally, her alone, 1 million women. Yeah. So if I can empower, you know, 100 Heathers, I've empowered 1 billion people.
I think
100 million people.
Where's the calculator
1,000 Heathers, 1 billion people.
You know, it's... I think about whoever's listening to this, whatever your space is, right? It could be health, it could be, you know, real estate, it could be charity, it could be any space that you can imagine, of thinking of that as your pond, right? And every pebble you throw into that pond, as many Heathers as you can possibly find, right? And seeing that ripple effect just continue to go out and have that nonstop.
Yeah.
I think that is the greatest gift that you can give the world.
Yeah.
And you're doing that. Now, I will ask this, because you're going against the grain a little bit. You're saying 1960s stuff, that's no longer
Totally.
the most accurate information. That's no longer the necessarily right information. And I've seen you make some posts on social media and this and that, and people get fired up and they're like, let's lock horns, buddy. I want to take you on because I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
What's your advice? Because I believe you're really good at this. What's your advice for somebody that is maybe a little timid, that should be out there speaking and making the impact, but they're kind of scared because of what other people are going to say or the criticism that they might find? How do you handle that, and how do you recommend somebody else tackle that challenge?
Yeah. So I'm not a big history guy, but when I do pull a lesson from history, it's because look at the people you want to be like, right? Look at the people that have paved a way in the way you want to pave a way, right? So I always like to learn from past people's entrepreneurships. I want to change the world. How have people changed the world?
Right.
Tell me someone who has changed the world that went with the grain. Tell me someone that didn't step outside the box and maybe was controversial,
right,
and actually changed the world. So if you have people saying, no, you're going in the wrong direction, that doesn't feel right, it's controversial, you're probably doing the right thing. Because change it's not just better, it's different. So if you're better, yeah, everyone's going to agree with you. Oh, he's a little bit better. But if you're truly different, if you're creating a category, if you're changing the world-changing, dominating force that people can eventually follow, because they're going to say you're crazy at first.
They will.
But eventually you stick with it and you're going to change the world.
So as we kind of bring this all home and wrap up this conversation, because I have a few more questions for you, I want to get a little advice for all the listeners right now live and all the listeners who are going to watch this, for many years to come. What's the best thing they can do to serve themselves and their health?
A tip right now.
Yeah.
I'll just give a couple layers, right? Because it depends on where you are.
Right.
So the best thing that I think anyone could do is put your relationship with food in check. Say, what am I doing? What really am I putting in my body? Because you can look at food as a nuisance, right? You can look at it as like a thing or a necessity, so then you're going to fast food or you're getting the quick fix, packaged goods. Make food something that you can connect with. I mean, literally, food is you. You are your food on a cellular level. So if you're abusive with food, you're literally abusing yourself. It's like someone walking around hitting themselves in the face, like a homeless person. You think that person's crazy. That's what you're doing to your insides. So I challenge people to love themselves enough and love their family and their children enough to ask, what am I doing to myself? How am I treating myself? Because we are our food. And that question alone will easily resort to them saying, I'm not going to eat processed food. I'm not going to consume sugar. I'm going to start eating real food. Because that's the number one thing you can do, right? We give you amazing tips and tricks and hacks and hormones and science. And I don't even want to start up on that right now because it could be construed incorrectly without proper education. Eat real food. And that's what you're doing probably a little more as a vegan, and that's why you feel good.
Right.
Give your body what it thrives on, which is actual food.
So
and eat more fat and less carbohydrates.
there he goes.
Eat less often.
So for the individual who is out there that is looking to create more wealth in their life, would you say that health is the number one most critical thing in order for them to go out and do that at a really high level?
I think you could crush it in business and be really unhealthy. We see a lot of entrepreneurs that are. But here another question to ask, which I've started asking more recently, like as I started reaching 30. Would you rather be epically rich and feel like shit and hate looking at yourself in the mirror and not having any energy and maybe die early? Or would you rather literally be scraping money, but feeling wonderful and healthy and living a full life? I don't think anyone would pick the first one, right? Let's be realistic.
Nobody in our circle.
You and I are financially doing great. I would give it all up to ensure my health. And my dad, who was very well off, would have given it all up to save his own life when I was only 15.
Right.
And he was in his early 50s.
Yep.
So it's not a question. We're just not asking the question very often because our ego is telling us being healthy doesn't make me significant. Making money does, right? We latch on to that. You got to put your health in check no matter what. I don't think it makes you more successful in the sense, or more opportunity to do better in wealth and business.
Yeah.
But it's a necessity, I think, to live a full life.
It's so true, because I really do believe that, and this is just my personal take, and all of the guests that I interview seem to have figured this out, that it is one thing to be, financially abundant and bankrupt in your health, bankrupt in your relationships with your wife or your husband or your kids or your friends or your family, bankrupt in giving back to other people. And so I always love to wrap up the interviews with, what is your definition of wealth?
Health, resethealth.org.
Shameless plug.
Or freereset.org.
He got it in there. He got it in there, ladies and gents.
The greatest thing that I've found in life that has empowered me through everything, and it's one of the first things we talk about, is self-love. And I wish there was another word for that self-love. I'd probably try to find it, because people go, oh, self-love, what the heck is that? But just love yourself. I mean, we are all so unique and special, and we have so many gifts. So someone might be watching and making fun of me, but for those of you that are watching, like, man, this guy's got his stuff together. I have days that I am a total shithead. I mean, I suck. And I'm not thinking good thoughts about myself or other people. And when that happens, I don't have this confidence. I'm not giving to the world. I'm not empowered.
Right.
I have those days. And then I have days that I literally wake up and I say, I can do anything I possibly want in this world. And I say certain affirmations and I just feel huge. And what do you think those days turn out to be? I shift my world. I shift the world in those days. So it's not about being perfect, but it's about finding as many days that you are self-empowered and as little days that you feel like shit. So just start loving yourself, because that is the biggest catalyst to make you feel empowered. If you don't love yourself, no one else will. Feel amazing, let yourself be amazing, and you will be.
That's a great way to wrap up this interview. I just want to acknowledge you, one, for being an amazing best friend, for impacting me in so many ways, for pouring into the Millionaire Mindcast community and sharing all of this information, and for everybody that wants to know more about what this crazy dude Reset Ryan is talking about. Where can they follow you? You're all over social media, but what's the best place that they can connect with you outside of the 20 website URLs that you just dropped in the last hour?
I think the best place for them to drop in is freereset.org, and ultimately, because even if they don't need a free reset, let's say they can afford it, it is something they can share with other people. And I'm trying to empower every single person to say, hey, look, this guy's giving access to health and transformation for no cost. If you need his help, apply for it. And there you'll learn about me, you'll learn about the company, you'll learn about Dr. Bond, you'll learn about how we are transforming human health. So,
well, for everybody that's watching, this is one of not only the top entrepreneurs that I know, but he's making an impact in the Sacramento entrepreneurship scene, which gets me fired up, because Sacramento is often forgotten in the state of California for being an entrepreneurial space. So it's great spending some time with you here today, buddy, and I really appreciate all the information you shared.
I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Well, that does it for this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Ryan. As you can probably tell now, he's just, one of those genuine, passionate people who truly wants to help others. And I don't know about you, but that is infectious. I love surrounding myself with people like that. And that's why I love hanging out with Ryan. That's why I wanted you guys to get a chance to hang out with Ryan, because they always fire me up and they inspire me to raise my game, right? And to think bigger than I'm thinking. And we need more people like that around us to see also how we can impact our lives, but others. And that's extremely important. So I'm excited for him, his program, all the great things that he is introducing to challenge people, to stretch people, to empower people in their health. And I would definitely say, hey, check out the website and see what they're up to, and you be the judge yourself, right? All the links that he mentioned like 500 times will be in the show notes or on the website, or if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to check those out in the show description below. But overall, I'd say he dropped some great nuggets in this one. So I hope that you got some great value from what Ryan shared today. And I just wanted to do a quick promo real quick before we wrap this up for the charity that I'm involved in, One Life Fully Lived. It's a charity that gives people the tools and the trainings to live their one life fully lived. And this is really for a lot of people who don't have access to these resources or information, underserved communities. All the proceeds go to that. And the conference is going to be held in my hometown in Sacramento, October 21st and 22nd. I'll be there. Ryan will be there. A bunch of my mentors, people from my Millionaire Mastermind group, Go Abundance, will be there. So it's going to be some heavy hitters, some amazing people in the community, and some amazing speakers who are going to be offering their time and value to you. So if you want to connect with me, with Ryan, the amazing community, I highly recommend coming. And plus, I'd just love to meet you in person. I always love connecting with listeners of the show. And there's really not many conferences out there, at least that I know of, that have this caliber of speakers with this kind of amazing community and these kind of tools for this cheap. And mark my word on that, there really isn't. So all these proceeds go back into helping others who really need it. It's nonprofit, like I'd said. So it's for a great cause. If you're interested, I think it's only like $250 for the whole weekend. You can get your tickets over at the number one, lifefullylived.org. So consider joining me for that weekend. And that's all I got for you guys this week. So I will wrap up by saying this. If you enjoyed this episode or other shows on the Millionaire Mindcast, please do share the podcast with someone who needs to hear this. I don't advertise or anything like that. So the way we've grown this big and continue to grow is through you guys, our amazing community of people who continue to share this content. So if you don't mind sharing this or tagging someone or leaving a review in iTunes, all of that helps us reach more people with these amazing messages. So my sincerest gratitude ahead of time for that or for considering that. And if you haven't subscribed on my YouTube channel yet, we're releasing weekly videos on real estate investing, business entrepreneurship, motivation, vlogs, following me around, getting into a little bit of trouble, having some fun, doing some great things that are at least edutainment, right? Educational and hopefully entertaining. So be sure to check that out, subscribe. And with that being said, I think that wraps up the Mindcast for this week. So until next time, remember to keep investing in yourself and your wealth.